podcast, CQC Threat and Risk Matrix. The utilization and development of a CQC and MSD threat matrix is a very important tool and means of developing programs, tactics, and individual skills to combat and counter violent threats. Just like with the development of TMPs for close combat, there is a strategic order along with means and methods of developing, testing, and proving skills. Using a threat and risk matrix are some such tools at our disposal used in skills development and decision making. Very much has to be a sound reason for making skills obsolete or dormant, and as such having to develop replacement skills. This is simply because MIL self-defense and MIL CQC skills are developed to be primary options and very much stand the test of time by their terminal and best of battle proven characteristics. The use of the CQC MSD matrix enables the master instructor to be able to look at all aspects of the threat. First up, the nature of the threat characteristics, and all minor and major aspects of the threat. The threat matrix is very important with anti or preventative tactics and skills to hard protect and hard target the user to the maximum to avoid an actions on and having to use combat or counter skills. Threat characteristics include the enemy, the location, the terrain, prior intelligence in relation to the enemy modus operandi, including weapons, tactics, and skills. Just like with close personal protection, undertaking security surveys and threat assessments and compiling operation orders. By utilizing a threat matrix, you can determine all threat characteristics leading to being able to produce a risk matrix. The risk matrix will determine minor and major threat realities, identifying the required means of threat neutralization, including commensurate means or for the battlefield overkill means of threat neutralization. Detailed threat matrix and risk matrix are important to the master instructor in the development of tactics and skills required to threat neutralize specific threats and situations. All identified, likely, probable, or possible threats should be included in the threat matrix. All resources at one's disposal should be utilized to obtain intelligence in relation to prior or common threat realities. Changes in threat at locations in relation to the time of day or night are important factors to consider in the threat matrix and then identify in the risk matrix in relation to risk and danger levels. Specific threats can be rated or color-coded in the risk matrix to identify the risk and danger levels. There are wide-ranging resources available in relation to crime, statistics and reports, as well as recent media covering of acts of violence that can assist in risk and threat matrix development. Visiting locations is very important. Driving locations and good old-fashioned footwork, keeping a discreet status and getting a feel for the layout of the land at different times of the day and night is very important to compiling current and detailed threat and risk matrix. Identifying danger areas and places to avoid, means of avoidance or rapid moving through such areas are all important considerations. Identified important information from the threat and risk matrix will be utilized in CQC and MSD for the selection, development or adaptation of tactics and skills to fit with the environment. The threat and risk matrix information could be used for operations by operators in wide-ranging capacities, from enforcement to close protection, and for individuals' safety, security, and self-protection. The Todd Group is involved with wide-ranging training for as wide-ranging and varied services, duties, and usages, and as such, having same system means of tactics and skills and programs and training packages development that share commonality equates to clear and easy usage for many different requirements, roles and duties. A recent received question was the meaning of threat neutralization, and this is a good opportunity to answer that question. The word neutralization, threat or enemy neutralization, is in relation to rules of engagement, laws of self-defense, and does not mean lethal sentry takeout under common usage. Effectively, if you raise your hand and tell someone to move right, move left, move back, lie down, and they comply, you have neutralized the threat. If you have to control and restrain a detainee and do so, you have neutralized the threat. If you have to use a hold escape and then incapacitate the enemy, you have neutralized the threat. And likewise, if you have to use deadly force, whether it be CQB or a sentry takeout, you have neutralized the threat. All factors and considerations will be included in your CQC MSD Tactics and Skills Development in relation to threat neutralization. This includes in relation to SOPs, rules of engagement, laws of self-defense, and objective achievement. It is important that findings that are not relevant are not included in your threat and risk matrix. At Todd Group HQ, we operate on large pack, small pack compiling of information and instructions as well as orders to ensure both formats can be utilized in relation to need and requirement. This is important to enable a business card sized set of brief orders instructions that act as timelines and reminders that will be backed up by HQ or a satellite facility with more detailed information if required. Over the years, on occasions, I've been contacted to conduct external services training for a range of different services and often at very short notice. This would include often not taking lesson plans and simply turning up, conducting the training and leaving. Through the detailed planning, development and compiling of training packages, including threat and risk matrix, the practices, principles, tactics and skills are clearly locked into the instructor's memory bank, and courses can be exported to anywhere with minimal or no high-tech Gucci facilities and can be delivered equally effectively. Same and similar principles apply to the facilitating and equipping of courses, regardless of if they are in a fully equipped facility or if equipment can be transported from Todd Group HQ or another base, or low-level improvised equipment and training kit can be utilized in relation to the facility or terrain. The utilization of training kit and equipment CQC MSD matrix provides options from high-tech through to no-tech for training conducted at Camp Todd, Todd Group HQ, Todd Group depots, and for global services, even in jungle environments, desert environments, utilizing what is at hand without ever sacrificing the quality of tactics and skills training. For over 30 years, being a one-man band, exporting courses all over the country and all over the world, utilizing sound practices ranging from tactics and skills development through to compiling of training packages and the caretaking and maintaining of the MSD CQC doctrine. Everything has been undertaken without sacrificing standards or forgetting to do something. Testament to the importance of practices, procedures, and having large and small packs at your disposal with everything that is required, all inclusive. Coming up through the ranks as an exponent, proponent, and instructor, the importance of being instructed in doctrine, tactics, and skills development, how to undertake threat and risk assessments, how to develop operation orders, and the utilization of wide-ranging tactical tools to aid in the identification of threats and the levels of risks that determine the required means, methods, and levels of threat neutralization is something that is very important to MIL, CQC, and MSD tradecraft training, because MIL, CQC, and MSD are very simple, brutally effective, gross motor skills, means and methods. Often training exponents do not understand the considerable amount of work that goes into the development of tactics and skills, the proving of tactics and skills by means of testing them to destruction in regards to the primary rating status of tactics and skills that they take for granted as part of their training. All the proven practices and methods of training and qualifying lead to tactics and skills being ingrained and stored in the instructor's memory bank, enabling efficient, effective training provision and ease of retention, as everything is a definite and deliberate process to maintain standards and have them ready for when needed and at the instructor's disposal, which transfers to opponents and proponents being properly trained and having the capability to draw on tactics and skills operationally to threat neutralize.